is.
Hey, there you are, pretty boy.
What's up, brother? Look at
How are you doing?
Pintar. How much weight did you lose, Pintar?
900 pounds he's lost. Look at this guy.
Unbelievable.
900.
Holy cow. I mean, like from 3 months ago, how much have you lost since 3 months ago?
Nothing. I haven't lost anything, but my weights, my clothes are down a couple sizes clothes-wise. And I think the big thing is I literally have not had a single sip of alcohol since we did our last call. So that's probably, I think, a big part of it.
Yeah, you look 10 years younger, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Work sucks, but I look great.
I mean, we're broke, but healthy, right?
So broke, I can't afford to pay attention.
I really like it. What's up, Ben? You look great. How you doing? You back home?
Hey, I'm doing great. You look at this haircut that you've got. I mean, you must have gone to the salon. Your biceps are looking on point.
We're getting there, buddy. Day at a time. But we're gonna have
if I wore my 8-year-old daughter's t-shirts, my arm biceps would look like that. All right.
I asked one of Gavin's guys one time, Edward, his like techie guy. It was hilarious. I'm like, have you been in the gym? And he's like, no, my wife's just buying me smaller shirts. It's literally what he said. So thanks for everyone for getting on again. Ben, always awesome to see you. We're going to have a smaller group today, which in my opinion, Ben and I were talking about this on a recent call of ours. I love it. I want a smaller group for this. We're talking about, deeper, not wider. Like, I don't want to have 9 million relationships in my life right now. I want to have 30 quality relationships with people that I really love, that I can give time to, that I can spend time with, and I can grow with. That they don't need to have the exact same goals, but we need to be somewhat in an alignment. And I don't know if that's just a byproduct of getting into the meat and potatoes of my 40s here, or just maturing. It's probably about time. But I'm glad it's not as sizable of a group as we've had in the past. So as always, thanks for getting on, Ben.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, Brad. And you know what? It takes courage to say what you just said. And I think right now during times like this, at least I've always found when adversity strikes in life, you find out who's really on your team, and you find out what people are really made of. And, for you to courageously say that, and then I think for people to take a look and see who's on the screen should make everybody feel good that, Brett certainly cares deeply about the relationship that he has with all of you. And for those of us that know Brett the way that we know him, like, he doesn't mess around. He loves on people, and he gives everything that he's got, even during times when it's really, really hard. He isn't there that was once there. And that says a lot about people. And Brett, I think that's one of the things that really unites you and I, is that our relationship goes well beyond, money and things of that nature. It's, our relationship is driven by relationship. The strength coach at Kansas State, he always likes to tell us the importance of our ability to really win together is to have real relationships. And he spells it REAL in all capitals. And then, like it's regularly spelled. So he says real relationships. And I just admire that that's what you have in your life. And that's what you've decided with a group like this. Because, the reality is you don't have to do things like this. So I admire you continuing to show up during what has been a really tough time for individuals in the business. I don't know if you want to address that before I get rolling, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, this one's been a long one, and in my opinion, it's up and around the guy that owns our company, who has much better data than I have at a macro level. We think this really started in August of 21, and it's probably going to go another full year. So we're talking almost 3 years in this thing. 0809 was 18 months. We ripped the Band-Aid off quick. It really sucked, but it came back much quicker. So this is going to be long and drawn out, but there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. And we just have to be tenacious as hell right now and dig in. And the thing that's going to get us through this is really like looking at Brian, looking at Belen. She's down a bunch of weight. Alfredo's getting back into shape. He bought a calisthenics gym for his house. He's going to be able to do 1-finger push-ups here soon. Like really digging into health and wellness and, not losing a bunch and so on and so forth, in my opinion. And community stuff like this is what's going to get us through, because it's going to be a pain and it's going to continue to be a pain. But what can we do to make it easier along the way, right? And I think having stuff like this and being around people that we really identify with in relationships, right? That's what's going to push us through and move the needle.
I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more, Brett. So, well, let's dive in. I'm excited to be here. For those of you that might be wondering, I have not renovated my home office. I am currently in Laguna Beach. The family actually comes in the month of July every year. We come to Laguna Beach. I spend the whole month here, and my life gets really crazy once football season starts. Who knows where you'll find me for these calls during football season? It could be with a team or whatever it might be, but it gets really crazy. I'm always on a sideline. It's additional time away from the family. I'm missing basketball tournaments and things that I enjoy. So this is a month where I turn it off. I do not travel. I honor my commitments for coaching and things of this nature. But I do not travel to speak. So I actually turned down 4 speaking engagements this month. And so that's a lot of money in revenue for those of you that know what I get paid to speak. So, it's a lot of money that I turned down because everything in life can't be about money. And I think you have to do things and design things the way that you want them in your life. And one of the things I found is when you honor what's most important to you and you continue to do things, including the work during really tough times, it's amazing what can happen in your life. So I wanted to start there. I'll talk a little bit about environment and kind of where I am as we get rolling. But I wanted to start with a story. On Sunday night, we went over. So one of the great things about Laguna Beach, you just travel over time, is we go to Mexico every year for Thanksgiving, and we met this wonderful family, and they've just become close friends. And so we were at their house. They live in Newport Beach on Sunday. And we get done with dinner, and Isaac comes down. He's like, Dad, you play this virtual boxing game. You play this virtual boxing game. And I'm like, buddy, I'm just, kind of chilling, relaxing. And, it's one of those things like you put the headset deal on and I'm, partly afraid, like, am I going to punch through this guy's TV? Am I going to know like what I'm doing with this game? And so I'll come get it here in a little bit. And so then he comes back again. Right. And then like the third time he's like, Dad, come play this virtual game. So I'm like, all right, buddy, I'll go play the game. So I go upstairs, and if you could picture, I guess it's called like an Oculus headset for any of you that have seen these things. I've never done one of these virtual deals. So I put on this Oculus headset. I can't see shit. They like, my hands go into these like virtual gloves. I'm like, I don't know what I'm entering. And all of a sudden I look in, and there's this dude across from me. I mean, this is like you like think you're literally in a boxing ring. And this dude is like 6'8", 275 pounds. He's got traps up to here. And I'm like, this dude's going to beat the shit out of me. And like, it's a virtual game, but you're like, literally, I'm about to get my ass kicked. And so I get this headset and I start moving forward, and this guy just beats the shit out of me. I like get knocked down, and then you're like doing this with your arms. And I'm still scared I'm gonna like destroy the guy's house because you don't know where you are. You can't see anything.
Oh yeah.
And here I am, like Isaac beats up the guy. The little 9-year-old boy Grayson, his son, is beating up this guy, and here I am just getting my ass kicked by this like enormous human being. Thank goodness it was in a virtual headset. But I share this story to just have some fun and to get you to smile, because sometimes we forget to do this during times like this, and we take action based upon our fears and the fact that we're scared shitless. And if we really get real with each other, I think many of you, and I will never call any of you out during times like this, and Brett knows this about me, the number of speaking engagements that he's been to that I've been a part of with him, to where I'll never call an audience. I'll never, raise your hand if you're doing that. I don't want to ever call anybody out. So I want to have a real conversation with you real quick before we get rolling on why I shared this particular story. I don't want anybody to raise their hands or acknowledge, but like, how many of you are playing scared right now? Like when I looked into that, no, stop. I said, no raising of your hands. Like, I put in this Oculus set, right? I put it on, And yes, this was a virtual game. I know we're talking about your real lives and your businesses, but it really is a mindset. You know, if you really think about it, I put on this headset and I'm like, all I was doing was thinking of, I'm going to punch through this guy's wall. This guy is enormous. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good at video games, right? Like all of this self banter to where I didn't know what the hell I was doing by the time it was like ding, 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 round one. And this dude is just laying me out. And how many of you are so distracted by the things that you're allowing yourself to be distracted by? The poor self-talk when you wake up. It's almost like you're craving, what's the environment going to say now? Like, let me see what the data says. Like, is the data telling me that it's going to be another year? Because if it tells me another year, then so be it. I'll get the shit kicked out. And you just start to believe that that's the way that it was. And I can tell you, like, I put this headset on, I look, and I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to get my ass kicked. And I did. And if you're showing up right now the way that I did, was you're playing scared, you're not focused. And here's what I'll tell you. In my life, and Brett can attest to this, I'm locked in and focused on something, I kick the shit out of life. And each and every single one of you, you've had success in this business. And I promise you, you had success in this business when you were focused on doing what you needed to do. And I think if right now many of you are playing scared, I think you've been telling yourself that you've been doing what you need to do, but I bet you really haven't been doing it. And so what you really have to do is you have to say to yourself, what if I isolated the period of time when I was most successful in this business? What did it look like? What were my behaviors? How active was I? What time did I get to the office? How often was I checking in with a strategic partner like how often was I checking in with other strategic partners? How often was I checking in with my team? How often was I telling myself that I believe all the stuff that you've done to drive success that you once did? If you've been playing scared, you have to honestly ask yourself and do not bullshit yourself and say, am I actually doing those things? Because the only way you're going to get out of this is by doing those things. Because if you're not doing those things, I promise you, whenever it goes back to whatever normal is, and maybe it'll never get back to normal, right? Or maybe it'll get back to 100 times better than it ever was, which would be a dream. And in the business that you guys are in, that happens in mortgage and real estate. And sometimes it blows you away. And we're going to get 18 months from now, and you're going to be like, I can't believe we went through that, but I also can't believe that we are reaping this type of fruit in this industry because this is the greatest that it's ever been. I don't want any of you sitting around and doing nothing, waiting for what might be. You have to decide to attack everything that you can from the tree that will feed you right now. And if you're not doing what you know you need to do or what you've done in the past, there's no reason you'd have any expectations that you should be getting any results right now. And I know I'm being very direct and it might be frustrating to some of you. It might be painful for the ears. It might hurt the ears, but it's the truth. And I think sometimes when you're playing scared, you surround yourself with people who are playing scared. You surround yourself with people who love you and support you. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it through. What a bunch of bullshit messaging. That's not the truth. If you're surrounding yourself with people and you're all coming into the office, well, at least I came into the office, but you're just supporting each other through the pain, but not supporting each other to fight, you're not going to have anything on your trees right now. And so part of what you need to do during times like this is remind yourself that it takes aggressive patience of not knowing when the market's going to come back. But aggressive patience doesn't mean you support each other in these loving conversations that we'll get through this together, and you're really doing a bunch of nothing. You actually need to look at it and say, what was I doing when I was most successful? And not only do you have to do that, you probably have to do extra right now. And you get scared because you're like, wait a second. Now you're like, Brett, this might be my last call with this guy because he's totally lost his marbles. It's hard enough to show up and not get the results that I used to get. And now he's telling me to actually do more, to subject myself to more no's, subject myself to more pain, subject myself like to the market at a higher level. I'm saying absolutely, because there's this many people who are willing to do that right now. This many. So Brett, that caused you to blurt out, which you normally don't do on these calls. So I'm going to let you, what's going through your mind right now?
It's interesting that you say that, not to call anyone out here, but it's fresh in my mind. Alfredo and I talked about some of his numbers yesterday, and I hope you're comfortable that I mentioned what we talked about. Okay, good. So Alfredo restructured his team at the very early part of June. He got rid of some people and he took on old responsibilities. He took on the shit that made him successful from day one and went back to that. So it really ties into what we're talking about right now. So from J1 to about the end of May, Alfredo closed 11 transactions, 1-1. From June 1st, when Alfredo started working his ass off until today, he has 12 under contract. So in 45 days, 2 days, he's done more than he did in the first 5 months because he made the decision to really put his ass into it and get back to work and do the business, do the calls, be in front of people. He's the one showing houses right now. He's the one negotiating deals. He's a stronger negotiator than anyone on his team. Why shouldn't he be doing that job right now when the deck's stacked against us, right? So just from a purely perspective, numerical standpoint, the business is out there, someone's doing it. But to see Alfredo close 11 from January 1st to May 30th, and then he has 12 under contract pending right now from June 1st to July, what are we at, the 12th or something? It's remarkable. So it's out there, and it just goes back to like, what did we really do to get us to where we when we were the most successful at that point? Like what did that look like? And really getting back to old school stuff and old school tactics and face-to-face and relationships and being in the relationship business. So thanks for letting me
this guy Ben Newman. It's an amazing training, sports trainer, motivational speaker, amazing guy.
He's getting the plug. Jorge, you're not on me, buddy.
Isn't it great that Jorge didn't say, hey, I got to tune in like this asshole Ben Newman right now, but hold on. Like,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Okay.
Jorge, mute it.
It's awesome.
Good morning. I didn't say anything. I just introducing.
There they go. Awesome.
Look at Katie. Katie's dying laughing.
That's perfect. No, but when the conversation that we were just having, that's what comes to my mind immediately. It's Alfredo's story from yesterday. I know Belen's been digging in. Her results are through the roof right now. The whole Paisano team, a lot of these guys on the call, Jorge Armstrong as well. Like all these guys they're the ones that are digging deep. They're the ones that show up for this stuff, and they're the ones that are going to get results, right? But from just numbers to numbers, that was really impressive to me, that it's been that exponential after he really took a look at it and is really doing the work,
Well, I absolutely love hearing that. Alfredo, is there anything that you want to share? I'd love to include you in what he's sharing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been of course rough. I mean, we have 12 under contract, but like every week we're losing 1 or 2 deals. So it's it's a matter of like keep grinding. And Ben, just a question to you is how do we keep this like momentum going, this vibrational frequency that you talked about, that Ate My Lead talks about? Because like right now I feel like I'm attracting business rather than throughout the first few months of the year. The first few months of the years we were planting seeds, we were not seeing results, but it was easy to blame it on the market. Like, oh, there's not enough inventory, interest rates are high, I can't find buyers for my client, houses for my clients. And I guess I was surrounded by a team of like what you were saying at the beginning of the conversation, saying like, oh, well, it's okay, it's a tough time. It really wasn't once I got rid of all that people. And you get back to the basics, the opportunities are there.
So first off, I would say congratulations to you on staying in the fight. Brett already highlighted it, and then you just said it, is you were doing the work. So when I said those words earlier, aggressive patience, my next book comes out on August the 1st, and there's a whole chapter on aggressive patience. So it's that book right there, The Standard. So literally aggressive patience. And that means that you have to keep doing the work and being patient and believing like it's going to come from me doing this. And so there was something in you that said, I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. One thing Brett mentioned, and I think this is the most important thing for every single one of you, regardless of what your aspect is in the flow of business being done in the real estate mortgage industry, is that you have to take ownership of those behaviors. So one thing that happens, and Brett just highlighted it, I like paying attention to the details, is Brett said, you've started to do some of the things that you used to do, right? Being more active. When things are really good, we can leverage all kinds of stuff away, right? Like when rates are down, Baird can be like over here. Oh, I mean, anybody can close a deal, right? You could go to the local elementary school and get a bunch of kids and say, hey, fill these out with crayons. What's your favorite color? And you're like closing 30 deals a month. I mean, that's how it gets. And so you could be like, hey, Teresa, you're 10 years old. You take this one. Hey, Stevie, you're 8. You take your blue crayon and do this one. I'm trying to keep you guys laughing today because I know it's been hard. So, but that's the reality. It gets easy. And when it gets easy, we're used to giving the deals to Teresa and Stevie with their crayons because it's easy. When it gets hard, when I asked you that question in the beginning, if you're playing scared, you have to go back to what made you successful. Not when the rates were so easy that you gave the crayons to Teresa and Stevie. I'm talking about when you were a rookie. I'm talking about you going back and saying, I'm going to do it again. Kind of like Brett has said, and now you're seeing it with Belen. They're going and they're like doubling down on the messaging. They're tripling down. They're quadrupling down. Like nobody does first-time home buyer training like us. Like look at the social media. Look at the and they're pouring into it and it's working. Brett wasn't doing that 2 years ago, all of those at the level that he's doing them now. But now he's saying, I'm going back to doing the things that I once did because I have to do that to fuel the business. And so, Alfredo, that's why you're now seeing yourself going from planting seeds to now getting deals done. And it's never going to be perfect. You throw up 12, there's going to be somebody who lied on an application about something in the financing, whatever it might be. But that pipeline has to stay big because you guys are willing to do the work. But the work that you did when you're a rookie, and I say rookie to really embellish the concept, but to give you that hard work mentality. But you don't even have to go all the way back there. I'm talking about like when you were still active doing what you know you need to do before you started leveraging when it was easy. So go back and identify what those things are. You may have to add a little bit extra to it right now because times are tough. But when you live in those types of daily behaviors and disciplines, that momentum that you're feeling, you're actually going to have more of that momentum. And so that's what I encourage. This isn't just, I know we've isolated Alfredo and Brett. I appreciate you doing that. But I think for everybody, Belen, you could think the same thing. She's nodding her head with a smile, which I love seeing. Jorge, once again, thanks for not calling me asshole and you appreciate being on these calls. He's smiling and laughing. Same thing, right? We all know what we need to do. But the reality is, look at the laughs and fun we've been having over the last 25 minutes. Would you guys just relax and go back to having some fun? I mean, you guys are so blessed. You just said that, Brett has literally selected, hey, I used to invite anybody to I'm inviting you, right? So he's one of the biggest fighters in this business right now. Somebody who's willing to double down, triple down. Like he's such a great example for you guys. And he will never say these things, but go watch the Burn episode that I did with him. For those of you that haven't seen it, I mean, Brett is just one of those great dudes in life that does shit for the right reasons. Like, I hope I get to roll with Brett for the rest of my life because it has nothing to do with business. It's a brotherhood and it's a friendship. And that's what's most important. The reality is Brett and I have been able to do some business things together, but really over the years, what's kept us together was a steak that we shared at some crazy ass restaurant that he took me to 10 years ago. And I mean, there was no like revenue or any money, but we always kind of stayed connected and had this dialogue. And so we've known we have a real relationship. And so it's real. And so like you guys are blessed right now. You're blessed to have this group. You're blessed to have the opportunity to show up every day. Like count the blessings and go to work. And I know it's not the easiest period of time right now, but you got to surround yourself with the people who love you and support you and are going to help you get through this. And I think you have this in this group. And so I think it's great to highlight Alfredo, but there's a lot of people on this call that are having success right now. And you guys have to lean into the things that are working. You've got to limit that self-talk and make sure you surround yourself with people that are speaking to you the way that I'm speaking to you right now. And you need to get that as often as you can get it. And the people who are around you that aren't speaking with this type of encouragement, let them know, like, we're not going to get through it this way. I mean, what's the easy thing to do is we're all going to cry together and, oh my gosh, you could talk for days about the good old days of the business and you could literally lose yourself in an entire week And then you could go, you know what, it was great that I got that support this week and we were able to talk about it. I'm not saying don't have those conversations, but they don't need to last for an entire week. They just don't. Because there's somebody out there who's taking the courageous steps like Alfredo, who's creating a pipeline. He's going to get the business. Then you want to throw darts and go, well, how's Alfredo getting this? It must be his aunts and uncles and cousins and friends. And, you know, he's not really getting business done. And people want to throw darts. But the reality is Alfredo's working. He's going back to what he was doing. Jorge's working. Belin's working. And so the reality is, like, when you're getting stuff done, let's figure out why are you getting it done, and then make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like for everybody to write down. So we're, you know, halfway through this fight. If we say it's a 12, well, stay in the boxing analogy of me with my Oculus headset on Sunday, right? So we're halfway through the fight. None of you have been knocked out of the ring the way that I was, laying on your back. And no matter, this is how you got up in this game. You had to like take your hands like this and you're running. I can't even imagine what it looked like. And no matter how fast I moved my hands, I was not getting up from how hard this guy punched me in the face. The last thing I could tell, we're laughing, we're having fun, we're on this call, and none of you have been knocked out of the fight. So if we're all in agreement that you're here and you haven't been knocked out of the fight, and we're only 6 rounds through the fight, and now we're in the 7th round, I want you to give yourself permission to believe the way that you used to. I want you to give yourself permission to say, you know what, I'm going to plan out my next 6 months. And I'm going to attack and believe one punch at a time, one day at a time in the next 6 months. So I want you to write down a goal for yourself that before we had the first 30 minutes of this conversation, you never would have written down because you were too scared, paying attention to the self-talk, paying attention to the market. And I just want you to write down a goal that you believe in, that you can accomplish over the next 6 months of this year. I want to just give you maybe 30 seconds or a minute to just quietly write that down. Okay, now I want everybody to look down at that goal that you wrote down. Maybe it was a monthly, it's a number of deals that you're going to get done over the course of the next 6 months. I want you to look down at that goal, and I just want to challenge you a little bit. Did you protect yourself, or did you actually write down a goal that would be reflective of you going all in and believing yourself, not being scared, regardless of the self-talk? And here's why I want you to look at this goal, because if you need to change it, I want you to give yourself permission to change it and to go all in. And to say to yourself, before you change it, if you want to change it, unless it's already big and it makes you uncomfortable and it makes you excited, uncomfortable and excited, that with aggressive patience, you can do it. I want you to think about the fact that there's going to be less of the self-talk. You're going to be courageous in conversations in the office. When people are talking negatively, say, I'm here to support you, I'm going to love you, but this conversation gets to last 5 minutes, and then we're going to talk about solutions on how you're going to get out of it. So it's not that you're not going to listen to anybody. You're telling them that, you know, that, like when I say standard over feelings, doesn't mean feelings don't matter, but I'm not going to talk to you for a month about your feelings. I'll listen for 5 minutes. But then the standard is standard over feelings. Let's identify the solution. Let's figure out what you're going to do about it. And then let's go do something about it. So I want you to make sure that that goal you wrote down, you really gave yourself permission. So if you want to change it, you can change it. Because remember, we're not going to play scared. We're going to limit our self-talk. We're going to go back to doing the things that we know we need to do, like Alfredo's been doing, which is a great example for all of us. What is that goal? Do you want to change it? If you don't, you can keep it the same. Okay, Now that we've got that written down, book recommendation, Burn the Boats. You see, this is how bad of a salesperson I am. I have a brand new book coming out on August 1st, and I'm selling somebody else's book. Like, maybe I need to work on my sales strategies. So Burn the Boats. This is an amazing book by an former executive for the Miami Dolphins. He was on Shark Tank. His name is Matt Higgins. Matt's an incredible guy, incredible leader, some amazing stories in this book. But on page 35 in this book, so if nobody's ever heard of the concept burn the boats, the concept of burn the boats essentially is when you truly believe in something and you go all in, you dive into the water and you are willing to take a match to the boat that just got you to that point where you were in the water, knowing that you are not going back because it's new waters ahead. And so that's what burn the boats means. So like, I want you to believe in this goal. Like, I'm burning the boats. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to the scared life. I'm not going back to the life of overthinking and over talking. I'm not going back to any of this. I'm burning the boats right now, and I'm going to attack the next 6 months. So even if you don't get the results that you once had, when things do turn around, 12 months, 6 months, 8 months, 18 months, with this type of a mindset, you will have a pipeline that will put you in position to attack like you never have in this business, because you had a willingness to attack when other people have a willingness to sit on their boat. They will not get in. You can't put a match to it because you're still standing on the goddamn boat. Make sense? Page 35 in this book. And this now speaks to, so now if we've agreed, we're going all in, we're burning, we take a match, we're burning the boats. I want you to make sure that the right people are getting into the water with you. We can't let detractors win. To make progress in our lives, we have to ignore the negativity and pursue our ambitions no matter what anyone else is saying. Life is a constant tug of war between creators and destroyers. Creators are destined to win in the end. That much has been preordained. Borne out over history, but that doesn't make vanquishing the destroyers any simpler. Lamenting that there are naysayers trying to tear you down is like wishing there was no gravity. The higher you rise, the more people will try to put you in your place. But you don't have to let yourself be attacked. Look upon the critics as a source of useful data, a proxy for some inevitable percentage of the population that'll reflexively reject your idea. They test and strengthen your resolve. If you can't defend the merits of your business to someone questioning its needs to exist, then maybe it doesn't need to exist at all. And the naysayers prove that there is alpha, the possibility of increased reward in risk-taking. If everyone saw the wisdom of an idea or had the courage to pursue it, there would be no opportunity to move first, to break out before others see the potential. Haters hate because they themselves are broken. Somebody not willing to fight right now, they don't have the internal fortitude to get on a call like this. They'd say, this is a waste of time. Why am I wasting my time? I might as well do nothing right now because there's nothing that can be done. And for those of you that made the choice to get on this call today, you get to hear what Alfredo just said, which proves the example that I had planned on sharing with no intention or no understanding of even knowing that that example was going to be provided. Brett and I were actually supposed to have a call on Monday because of a meeting he had. We didn't even have a chance to talk before this. We always talk in preparation for these calls. Had no idea, right? So it's like Brett and I haven't talked in a few weeks because he was on vacation with the family. And so literally this all just is meant to be. And so everything I had planned on talking about. So by the way, I come prepared for these calls. This isn't like I just get on here and I just, start running my mouth. Like, I'm prepared with intentional details because that's what I do in my life. I show up prepared for every fight, even though I get my ass kicked like I did on Sunday night, like all of us. But so with Alfredo, that's my point, is Alfredo, you've kept the team around you, right? You've continued, but you pulled back some of those things that were necessary and you believed that you could win and you're winning. So I think it's important right now that let the haters hate. There's plenty of people who are gonna be like, why are you working so hard in this? But you can't do, Brett, you can't do business right now. Dude, you might as well enjoy it. I mean, just just you and Eunice just go to Mexico and enjoy. And when rates go down, hop on a plane and come back, right? I mean, that's what people are going to tell you. Why aren't you doing that, Brett? Because they themselves don't have the courage to fight the way that you are right now, Alfredo. They don't have the courage, Belen, to fight the way that you're fighting. They don't have the courage, Jorge, to fight the way that you're fighting. And Brian, the deals that you have gotten done and the discipline that you've had to not pick up a damn drink, which I'm way more proud of that than any piece of business anybody's going to do. I grew up in a house with a father that was an alcoholic, bipolar, manic depressive, alcoholic. His words were so abusive that it was worse than any hand he ever could have put on me. And he never put a hand on me, but sometimes words are way worse. You saying that is greater than any deal you guys could close. And that fortitude that you've shown shows the strength that it takes to fight in any environment. And so, guys, this is real talk. You guys all have it in you. And then, Brett, to start this call, I didn't know this call was going to be, we kind of talked, maybe I'm going to do this a couple of months ago. I had no idea that this call was going to be broken down to a smaller group now. So this is the team, like you guys are all in, right? So on like page 55 in this book, Brett had no idea I'd even started this book, right? So all of this is just kind of preordained that I was going to be sharing this and doing this. So it's all meant to be. So this is the team that's going to light the match and burn the boats and go all in. And I think the most important thing that you guys can do right now is make the choice to do that. Is make the choice, if you truly believe it, to say, I'm not playing scared, I'm lighting that match. Now it's going to take more than just the emotion. When we hang up on this call, you're going to have to say, okay, Ben asked, what were the things that I once did that I've stopped doing, but I'm still expecting results? That's just crazy talk, right? Like, what do you really need to do? And then what's the increase, right? There's going to have to be a little bit more than you used to do in order to build the pipeline to get things done in an environment like this. So let's identify what those behaviors are. And then I want you all to light that proverbial match and just picture all of us diving into that water together and saying, we ain't coming back. So when we get on that next quarterly, it's not going to be perfect. Rates might be exactly the way that they are. Rates might be worse. But when we get together in 3 months for the next quarterly, and then we talk about closing the year, and we're getting that much closer to things being back to having lower rates, because it's all going to flip. You know the way that this industry is, especially those that have been in it for a long time. It is not going to stay this way. It will not stay this way. I can guarantee you that. You all know it. It's all cyclical. Sometimes the cycles are a little bit longer than you want them to be. It's all cyclical. But you guys all have to recognize it is 100% in your control to change the results that you're getting right now. It's 100% in your control. So what I want you to do is after you write that down, I want you to think about your environment. So let me talk a little bit about where I am right now. So many of you that have been on all these calls, you've realized, like, did Ben remodel his office? Like, this is, like a new setup that he has. And I told you at the beginning of the call, if you hopped in after we had started, we rent a house in Laguna Beach every July so I can get more time with the family before my life gets crazy during football season. I'm on a sideline every Saturday, running up and down with veins popping out of my head and my neck, acting like a crazy man, motivating guys to win football games. And so I come here and I walk into this beautiful office that this man has. He's actually, it's a beautiful home in Laguna. I'm overlooking the water, and he owns a surfboard company. And so it's this beautiful office. It's got all this surfboard stuff, but like, that's not my jam. That's not my flow. I don't know how to surf. It would probably be worse than the butt kicking I got on Sunday night, what the waves would do to me. But I came in here and I said, okay, if this is my office for the next month, and I've got this call with you, I've got other trainings, I've got coaching calls, I'm going to turn this office into my office. So what I did was I rearranged some things. I've got stuff that's meaningful to me. I got copies of the new book, and it's set up. It's now my office. I brought in my recording equipment. Same microphone that I use in St. Louis is the microphone I brought out here because I care about delivering for all of you. Just because I'm in Laguna doesn't mean I'm now going to do this from my phone, sitting out in a chair in the backyard. Like, when I do something, I do it. I don't half-ass anything. I don't decide to go just a little bit of the way in. I'm going to make sure that I deliver for you guys just the way that I always do. There's no change just because I'm here and I'm not traveling. I'm not gonna skip the process. And so environment is very important. So I changed the environment so I can feel good when I see this behind me. So even though I'm selling somebody else's books instead of my own, I can feel good in the environment in which I'm doing that. And I've got my microphone, I've got my setup, and I've got everything the way that I'm accustomed to having. It's my environment. That allows me to have this kind of fuel and energy to be prepared and locked in to spend this time with all of you. So the question I have for you is, how is your environment set up right now? People underestimate how important it is to make sure your environment's right. So because times are tough, you just work from home. I don't really feel like going to the office. It's bad memories. It's too hard. So I don't need to go. So now the things that you used to do and the environment that you used to win in, you don't even go into that environment anymore. Or there's things in that environment that maybe don't mean as much to you. Change what's on the walls. Or there's something or somebody in that environment that you need to have a courageous conversation with, because they're coming into your environment every day where you're trying to stay positive, you're trying to encourage people, and they are so negative that it's destroying everything in the office. Then you as a leader, even though you may not be the same leader, you don't do it publicly, you don't bash people, you pull them aside and say, hey, number one, I'm gonna win right now. I believe our team can win right now. But I want to tell you, because I do care about you and I love having you on our team, you are not going to win right now and you're hurting our team. Because the manner in your negativity is destroying an environment that's hard enough already. So I hope you can appreciate that I'm having this conversation with you one-on-one right now, but we have to have it because this is just not welcome here right now. Because it is hard enough for us to fight in the environment that we're in as it is. So if there's anything I can do to support you, please let me know. You can come into my office anytime. Here's my new rule. You got 5 minutes to bitch, complain, to tell me what's upsetting you. But then after 5 minutes, you got to tell me what the solution is to flip your mindset. Because if you don't want to tell me what the solution is, I'm not going to be a jerk, but I'm not going to listen after 5 minutes. And if this continues, you can come back when the rates are low if we still have an opportunity for you. And sometimes people need to hear the truth. And I know some of you, I hope you guys understand, I always come from a position of love. So I kind of, you talk about a fight, right? I give it to you guys with love. I get you to laugh, and then I hit you pretty hard. And I let you know, like, nobody else is going to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not one of those people that you looked up on Instagram who changed their bio last week. Oh, I'm a speaker and a coach and an author. Guys, I've been doing this for 18 years. Brett, am I doing the same thing that I was doing when I met you? Yes. Like, this is what I've been doing for a long time, because this is what I love and this is what I do, and I don't candy coat it. Because there aren't a lot of people in this industry that want to do. There's a lot of people who want to get into coaching and they just want to give you a bunch of fluff and it's a bunch of nonsense. They don't even know how to coach. So part of coaching is loving and caring, but it's also being direct. And so some of these tough conversations, you've got to be that direct with people that you care about. Because if it's all fluff for you, they're going to come in and then you're going to accept that as part of your environment. And for you to be able to make it right now, changes in the environment have to take place. So whether it's the courageous conversations, whether it's changing what you see on a Zoom screen, whether it's changing the belief statement that you write on your desk and you put in front of you, I think you, in addition to taking time to identify what you need to do, I think you absolutely right now have to make the changes to your environment so that you can attack and win one day at a time the final 6 rounds of this fight, because you can win. Every single one of you can win. It may not be the knockouts that you delivered 2 years ago or 8 years ago, but I promise you, you can win. And a win is a win. And smaller wins still feel good. And if they're not as big as the big wins used to be, those small wins are going to put you in position with aggressive patience to win big again in the future. But you got to be willing to win small right now. I want to share an opportunity with all of you. Then I want to open it up for question and answers. And then I'd like to be able to turn it back over to me to finish. I have always held back, and now you're going to realize that I really am a bad salesperson because I'm selling other people's books. I have not really come on here. I haven't solicited clients or anything of that nature. This is Brett and I having this opportunity, but I thought about this today. And when I tell you Brett Baird is like such a meaningful relationship to me, like, Guys, there's so much that Brett and I don't share on this call about the how and the why and all of this that nobody needs to know, but he and I know it. And that's the most important piece. And he knows that I'm in this fight with him. So I'm about to share something with you guys that actually doesn't have any money attached to it. I hope you guys understand. This is my desire to just help you win more. We have an online coaching program called Uncommon Live. It costs $350 a month for people to be part of that program. The actual full cost is $400 per month. For me to run that program, it costs $100 per month, right? So for my team, the upkeep, the backdoor, like it's probably more than that, but just for easy math, because I don't like getting into the numbers, it's about $100 a month is what like the actual cost would be for me to pay Tyler, our creative director, Sean, guests that come on the program, okay? Costs about $100 a month to run that program per person that's part of that program. That gives you access to me doing live coaching every single month, plus Q&A every single month. It gives you coaching with Sean every single month. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're starting something on Monday that has never been part of this program that I think could really benefit all of you right now. It's called Monday Ignition. So 18 years ago, when I started doing this work, I used to fire people up for the financial firm that I was a part of. And that's where this all started for me, was in financial services. And every morning they would have me, it would be the veterans, because people realized I had this vein, I had this passion, like I had this fire, like I wanted to motivate people. And so for 5 to 6 minutes every Monday, they'd put me up in front of the group before people reported numbers, and I would just fire people up to connect to their burn, to connect to their fire, to connect to their energy, to connect to their passion. And so finally, Tyler and I were talking, I'm like, what more can we deliver? Because it's not just your industry, it's other industries that are in pain right now. And I said, man, we're going back to Monday morning meetings. And he's like, well, that's not as catchy of a title, but like, let's figure it out. He goes, it's Monday Ignition. I said, I love it. So starting this Monday, every 5 minutes live on Zoom, it's not pre-recorded. I'm going to come every 5 to 6 minutes, every single Monday at 8:30 Central Time. So those in Colorado at 7:30. If you miss it, it's recorded if you're a member in the program, and they'll send you a link for a recording. But I'm going to fire people up every single week because people need it right now. So because of my relationship with Brett, because of the support from Cross Country Mortgage, because of everything they continue to do for me, I want to offer to you guys, any of you, and it's for you and your entire team. So Alfredo, you, your team member that I see, and anybody else, if you're interested, I'm going to send a link to Katie for her to send out for $100 per month. It's my freaking cost for you to be part of Uncommon Live.
Nothing.
Now I want you guys to understand something that's really important. This has to stay in this Zoom screen, because I literally have members who have been legacy members who are paying $350 a month. Now, my relationship with Brett, relationship with Cross Country Mortgage, you're actually going to be paying more than $100 per month, but it's not you paying it. There's other investments that are being made on your behalf. So I want you to understand why I'm offering this to you. But if anybody's interested, you can either DM me directly at Continued Fight on Instagram, and I'll send you the link if you want it right away. Otherwise, I'll send it to Katie. She can send it out. All of you can become them. Brian Pinter, you could literally send it to 5 people on your team and you all could take advantage of it. I don't care. There's over 50 hours of recorded content. There's the Mental Toughness Academy that you can share with your team. And if by the time we get on this next call in the next quarter, if I haven't delivered $300 of value, I'll give you your damn $300 back. Like, I don't, like, for me at $100 a month, when it's my expenses are more than that, I don't even care. Like, I just want you guys to know I'm burning the freaking boats with you. So like when I say Brett Baird means a lot to me, if you guys all knew the backstory of us continuing to do this for all of you, like you wouldn't even believe, right? So it's like, when I say I love Brett Baird, I love Brett Baird. And if Brett Baird says he's all in, then I want to do that for all of you. So anybody interested, it's an easy sign up. You'll be enrolled. You'll be ready to go. Would love to have you. If not, I'm still going to pour into you guys every single quarter, and I can't wait to continue to help you grow, because some people, it's just, these really, really are tough times. That's it. That's the sales pitch, which I wouldn't even call a sales pitch, because I'm not really making money
like
on it.
Freebie.
It's covering my expenses, so I'm not really making money on it. So here I sell other people's books and I give my shit away for free. But what Brett has done for me and the support of Cross Country Mortgage. I'm coming there for another event live in Denver coming up. And so it's just that support means so much to me, and it's always noticed and always appreciated. So with that being said, I'll turn it over for questions and answers.
And one quick thing, just a note for Katie as well. Katie, when the standard comes out, when is that, Ben? Is that August 1st?
August the 1st. Yep.
August 1st. Take note of everyone on the call, and let's get everyone who attended a copy, please. And then I'll cover that. Good.
Thank you, Brett.
All right. Yeah, of course. Questions. Let's start. Miss Belen. Hair's looking on point, girl.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing all the ideas and the way that we can make things happen. Brett, I really love the conversations that we have, and yeah, definitely right now are tough times, and my team and I were working like 5 times more than before, and obviously we're getting results, but these results are really are slower than before, right? So my question to you, Ben, is I'm a very, very positive person. And yeah, sometimes, you hear from another realtors like, no, this is not the time. Maybe you're just posting so much. Maybe you're just doing so many events. But my energy is right there. And I have always the team working with me. So how do I keep that energy? I know you already approached some of the things, but how do you keep mentally focused and mentally working on yourself? Because when you become better, your team and your surrounding are better, right? So how do I mentally prepare myself better to be a better person with all the things that are behind in general?
So Belen, can I have permission to coach you directly and specifically on this?
Yes.
Okay. How important are your children to you?
It's my number one thing.
Okay, so your children are your number one thing. I'm going to be really direct, and this is going to be very emotional, and it's intended to be because everybody's wired differently. Okay, for those of you that have reached out on social media and things of that nature, like I actually stay connected. I pay attention. Some people say like, how in the world could you possibly pay attention to all this stuff? Like I just do because I care. Belen, I've seen pictures of you at your family. I've seen it on your story, and I knew that would be your answer, and that's why I asked directly that answer. And so what you have to remember is that those little eyes are watching you every single day. The bullshit that other people tell you, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? What did I just read on page 35? Don't even listen to them. And what you have to do is remember that you have 100% control of your mindset. So if it was me, the moment somebody says that, I tell myself, burn the boats, and you remember that those little eyes of your children are watching the example that you're setting during one of the toughest times professionally you've ever been through. It was way easier a couple of years ago for you and Brett to get stuff done, right? Way, way easier. Not as easy now, but that example is always the same, because your kids really have no idea how much was in your bank account 2 years ago, and they don't know how much is in your bank account now, but they watch how mommy shows up every single day. And I can attest to you, even though I got just under 8 years with my mother in this lifetime, which is far too short than she ever got, that I live every single day because my mother died at 38 and I'm 44, and I've been given 6 extra years, one day at a time, that she never got. I don't give a shit what anybody says to try to hold me back. I will attack every single day. And so that's the burn and fire that lies inside of me, that no matter what environment I'm in, no matter what adversity I face, if a client's going through tough times, I don't throw them to the curb. They're going to know, like if it's somebody that I deeply care about, I love you and I got your back. And so that's one of those things, Belen, that you got to remember. You surround yourself with the right people in life and everything is going to work out. And if you stay connected to that burn, and when those naysayers start preaching, you silence them by taking a look into your kids' eyes, even though they might not be sitting in your office. I promise you that fight's going to continue for you. And when things do turn around and people at other companies start calling you, say, will you hire me? Because this was a shit environment. And now they're like trying to press on me and force me to do, and they're like, this is so uncomfortable, but you're always smiling and winning. And when things were terrible, you were smiling and you were doing your, like, people are going to want to come work for you. And that's what you attract during times like this, when you continue to work. So remember, those little eyes are watching you.
Okay. Thank you so
Is
much.
that helpful?
Yes, very.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Keep smiling like that too. It helps.
She doesn't have her camera on, but I wanted to pick on Danny real quick, who is Eunice's other sister, who's one of my right hands at the office. Danny recently has had a major influx in volume, right? So Danny, she gets a little stressed just like I get, right? I think Danny went from, not being in the business 3.5, 4 years ago. And then I think she has 13 or 14 transactions closing this month. So it's 0 to,
Wow.
it's a monstrous amount. She's doing a hell of a job and we're super proud of her. Danny, what would you ask just from your seat on the bus and how you're seeing things and how you're feeling recently and so on and so forth? Throw Ben a question.
My question is, like Brett says, it's been a lot, but I'm not giving up. I choose not to give up, even though I know that it's gonna get easier. I know. I just want to know what would you say, I guess to keep the moment going, the motivation, I would say, because sometimes it's just hard to keep up, I would say, and I choose to keep going. I make sacrifices because I want to, but sometimes I just feel that my job is my number one priority, as my sister said before. I have a little one too, and it's just little things that I'm willing to sacrifice, because why? At the end of the day, it's gonna pay off, right? So I just want to have some sort of balance, I would say, and it's hard. It's hard to keep a balance, but I stay busy all the time, and I'm willing to do the work. I like it. If I didn't, I would have thrown the towel, a long time ago.
So one of the things I said, 'cause I think the answer could be similar to how I answered for Belen, but I just add one thing to it. It's one day at a time. One of the ways that people lose their focus is when they focus on what's it going to look like in December. I don't have any idea. I mean, if Brett knew that, if I knew that, if Katie knew that, I mean, what could you get paid for that kind of information, right? I have no idea. But what I do know is you have an opportunity right now to be focused. And so there's two types of focus. So I call it intentional focus, and then there's regular focus. Regular focus is, I come to work and I do my work. Intentional focus is, I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to focus on doing those things to the best of my ability every day, knowing that real winning is my ability to look myself in the mirror one day at a time and say, today I gave it my very best. And if you can do that, nobody can ever ask any more of you than your very best. You can't ask any more of yourself than your very best. But to be your very best with intentional focus, you have to do those little things that you need to do, not just focus saying, here it is. And it's intentional focus. And then remember, it's one day at a time. The easiest thing to do during hard times is to get caught up in those conversations. Gosh, I hope it's better in 3 months. I hope it's better in 6 months. I hope it's better in 12 months. And we look so far out that we lose focus in terms of what's in front of us. And then it's impossible to have intentional focus to get done what you need to get done today. It's the same thing, Brian, one of the things that, going through what I went through. I mean, I went to AA meetings as a kid, because my dad would take me to AA meetings. And I'm not, saying that there was alcoholism involved for your situation. I hope you understand that. But like, whenever somebody grabs a hold of stopping drinking, like it's a really powerful thing. Like, how do you stop drinking? Like one day at a time. Like you talk to people, because I've helped so many. I mean, you talk about the people that I work with, some of the highest performers in the world, Hall of Famers and athletes, and people think that they get paid a lot of money and it's easy. Like they have crazy pressure, crazy pressure, which leads them to drink and do these things. If they stop drinking, like for some people, it's like every hour. Like you got to remind yourself every hour, I'm not going to drink. Another hour, I'm not going to drink. And so, Danny, it's the same thing for you. It's the same thing for all of us. It's one day at a time. If you got to break it down to an hour at a time, if you got to break it down to every 30 minutes at a time, and then you just attack it and you keep that intentional focus, and you're going to come out of this strong as can be. But super proud of you for what you're doing during this time and flipping those big results. That's awesome to hear.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How about one more question?
From me?
Jorge, you got your camera on? Mr. Armstrong?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Brett. I'm just listening to the whole thing, and to me, it's that drive, the importance of the one day too, and understanding it. It's the discipline of that every day. It's not because you did it or expect a result right away. It's just maintaining that discipline and taking action daily. Like, don't stop on that part. And I live it. I got my little eyes looking at me right now. That I'm in the office. And,
That's awesome.
and when in doubt, build a team, because then it's not about your business anymore. It'll still be about your business, but then now you really care about building a team and make sure that everybody's doing well and everybody's being successful, and it's caring about others. In my case now, it's a different game, but I still do my personal production, love it, and just stick to my game. Just don't know any better.
Awesome.
Excellent. Ben, I got one for you real quick.
Yeah.
All right, so
And then I've just got a thought that I want to share to wrap things up, but go ahead, please.
absolutely. So, all right. So I did my marathon, right? That was a big bucket list thing for me. Wanted to do a marathon. And then I decided to do a 10K 5 days later, and then another marathon 5 days later after that. So 3 races within 13 days. Tore my calf on the mile 11 on the second marathon. And it put me out for about 6 weeks from doing what I really want to do, which is qualify for the Boston Marathon. So when I start to deviate from the plan a little bit, it's easy for me to get off the tracks. And I'm not saying get off the tracks to, go start drinking 40s in the park, but like I give myself permission to have a little bit more cake. I have a little ice cream. I start to eat some Kit Kats. I don't go work out for a day or two. And I get off the tracks, right? Just like this. And then it's not super hard for me to get back, but when it doesn't really happen with you, from what I see, outside looking, and you're like, you get punched in the face and you're still up at 3 a.m. So, because you're so disciplined, you know what I mean? And I love that. It's amazing to watch, you know what I mean? Because it gives me something to aspire towards, right? We all need to be chasing something. Is any advice to when we get off the tracks, right? Quick advice to expedite getting back on.
Yep. So the first thing I would tell you is we have to get, so normally, you guys know the process works. Brett and I work together one-on-one. And so we always schedule our next call on the call. So since we didn't have a call on Monday, we now don't have a call on the calendar. So I need you to send me over the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 times that work for you so we can get scheduled for our next call. And so, because of your travel, you and I haven't communicated as much. Now you got to have that family time to recharge the batteries, but you and I need to get back to, our every 2 weeks, we're locked in, we're focused so that I can help drive that accountability, for you, which is where we found great success. Now, as far as what you can do every single day, regardless of calls with me. So this is I don't think I shared this with you guys on the last quarterly call. Did I? Can you guys see this? Okay. So this says the 4 P's of the standard. You don't have to worry about taking notes on this. You guys can take a picture real quick. I will have Anna from our team send a copy of this to Katie as well, so you can get this distributed. This came out of the new book. So essentially, in writing this book, I wanted to really pull together 18 years of this experience with all these high performers in sports and business. Say, what is the uniqueness? What's the commonality? And the highest performers on a daily basis, there's this cycle that I created, and many people do this unintentionally. They're not using these words, but this is how I've created it, is every day they wake up and they say, okay, what's the problem? What's the potential problem that I'm going to face? And sometimes the problem is a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. So the problem might be a bad thing is, oh my gosh, the market is so down. It's really, really hard right now. So you're going to be honest with yourself. That's the problem that I face today. So the 4 P's, the second P is the planning. So what's the planning piece? Well, in order to attack that problem today, here's what I need to do. And you're literally going to design every day. Now, I call it a prize fighter day. So when Brett and I are locked in, he's got his prize fighter day. So based upon potential problems, my planning is, here are the things I know I need to do today. The third P is performance. So what's the performance? Actually doing what you said you were going to do. So it's actually pretty simple. And then the fourth P is the payoff. And the payoff is you're going to receive some result because you put in. Now that result may be higher than you wanted, less what you wanted, but it's not going to be nothing. And then the next day you deal with the problem again. The problem was either it didn't work or the problem was it worked and I won. So here's a different flip on the perspective that I've learned over high performers. You're going to see, you've heard me say this before when I talk about standard over feelings. Inside this arrow, it says the seduction of success. You have to be careful during really hard times, especially in your business, when you start to win, because it's so much harder to win right now. It's a lot easier to stop doing what you want to do because it was so hard to get to that yes. So we cannot be seduced by success. So one of the problems that's a positive is when you win, reminding yourself it's going to be a problem if I stop doing what I was doing that caused me to win. So you have to identify, I will not allow my winning to be a problem. And so your planning goes to, what am I going to do today? I'm going to do what I did yesterday. And then it becomes a cycle of these 4 Ps of the standard. And so one of the things that I've identified for me in my life is it's just a standard. Like, this is what I do. I'm not going to wake up and waste a day. And so that becomes the standard. Doesn't mean that every day is a win, but I will not waste a day. I will give the day everything that I've got. I'm not going to show up to one of these calls just because I'm in Laguna, just because I'm here, and decide that I'm just going to shit the bed on this phone call and not come prepared. Like, there's going to be a standard. And I'm going to live to that standard in everything that I do. I'm going to give you everything that I've got. And in times that I got extra time like this, I'm not going to look and say, I got to get off the phone, and I'm going to keep going. So I appreciate you guys continuing to roll, even though we're a little bit over time and everybody's busy and got things to do. But so that's the 4 Ps of the standard that's in the new book, but I'll get you guys, I'll get that sent over to Katie. And so that way you guys can have that visual as well. And here's what I want to leave you with, and then I'll turn it over to Brett. Let's get in that water together. No more self-talk, no more playing scared. The 2 action steps. Number one, what I want you to do, actually 3 action steps. Number 1, make sure you write down what those behaviors are that are going to cause you to win. So that's like that planning piece, right? We got to make sure that we do that. Number 2, what changes do you need to make to your environment? And number 3, pay attention to the details that come out from Katie, or you can send me that direct message. If you want to be part of that community where I can help you on a weekly basis to keep this energy going, let's do it so that we can win, continue to win big together. I want to be able to provide that to pour into all of you more. I appreciate all of you. And I'll leave you with this, and then I'll turn it over to Brett. How awesome that you're still on this call. So I don't know what those conversations were or how that all happened, but Brett made a determination to make this group smaller, and you're still here. So let's light that match. Let's dive into the water. This smaller group, this tighter community that we have. Look forward to seeing you guys in a quarter, some of you sooner than that. But I look forward to seeing you guys in another quarter and to keep this energy going. So let's light the match and dive on into the water. Brett, I'll turn it over to you.
No, thanks again, Ben. We appreciate you doing it. We'll see everyone next quarter. Super proud of everyone on the call. The results are speaking for themselves. We're all diving in. Iron sharpens iron. We need to be in closer relationships. I say it every time, and I'm doing my best to be closer to everyone here. God damn, that mustache looks good, Raul. Jesus, it's so good. It's so good. So I love all of you very much, and we'll look forward to the next call. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.